Beautiful warrior mamas. I have Emma with me today. Emma is from Australia, and I am so excited to share her story with you and to have this conversation about, this is kind of a triggering sentence, but getting rid of autism. Her story from life before the diagnosis, during the phases of the darker phases, and now to this phase where she's at now. She describes it as night and day. So we met via social media, and we connected when you entered into my tribe and my courses. But I would love for you to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then take us back to the time before any of these turnarounds happened in your life. So who are you, how old are you, and take us into your life.
Okay. Hi everyone, I am Emma. I'm 30 years old. I live in Sydney. I am trained as a birth and a postpartum doula, supporting women in pregnancy and childbirth and in that sacred postpartum time. I have got two sons. One of them is 4.5, who is diagnosed with autism. And my younger son, Oscar, is just turned 2 this week. So, as you can imagine, I am very much kept on my toes all the time, very busy mum life, as you can imagine. So, we're just trying to, I guess, do our best and, just do what we can for our son. I guess I'm just sort of thinking back to where this all started, and I'm feeling just a little bit emotional because I can see, the difference that, that you, Ninka, coming into our lives has made. I just wanted to mention that the way that I came across you was a very synchronistic event. I was in a really low point of being an autism mum, very low. I basically walked up to a friend who owns a cafe, who knows a lot about the health industry, and we'd been on this natural health journey for a while. And I just said, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what to do next. I just, every day was like, I'm just getting emotional. Every day was so hard. I don't even think that I saw it at the time, because if you just knew what mums like me go through, it's unfathomable. So he actually sent me a podcast interview with you on the Stylist podcast, which I listened to. And when I listened to it, every cell in my body was like, yes, I know when something's the truth. I'm an intuitive person, empathetic. And when someone speaks the truth, I can feel it in my body. And even though I was a little bit triggered, to be honest, about one of the topics, I was like, let it go, Ninka. But I just thought, oh my God, why have I not heard of this before? It's so simple. It's something I'm going to do today. And that was grounding. So yeah, I don't want to jump around too much.
No, that's perfect. You did, just before we went live, you said, I would describe it like it's a difference between night and day. So let's go back to the night, just the time around the diagnosis and all the things that you have tried, because I think there's a lot of warrior moms out there who are on this holistic health journey, doing everything we can. And it is so frustrating when that doesn't work. So take us back to the beginning.
Okay, so I definitely knew that I had a very sensitive child on my hands, and I can remember very specific events that happened, at very specific times on certain schedules that you follow as a mum. And I watched I'm not going to say the health, because the health of my baby was fine, but the persona of my baby was changing. I was a great mum, I thought, because I was well informed about topics. I had a natural birth. I didn't use any medication early on. I breastfed my child up till he was almost 4, so like well beyond what they recommend. And around that sort of 12-month mark, I really saw some scary behavior. We always had sleepless nights, and I think that can be quite common, in that first year of life. So that's nothing remarkable. But what I was seeing was my 12-month-old baby, he was a baby, smashing his head on the ground in frustration. And I would ask my friends, what do I do when my son does this? Because I can see that it's out of frustration. And some people would say, oh, I just ignore it, or other people would say, oh, my child doesn't do that. And so I sort of started to feel that there was something a little bit different about my son. But obviously he's such a beautiful boy, and his eye contact was great, and he was so wonderful. I didn't get too concerned about that. And then as time went on, the eating, he really stopped eating and went to all white foods and had very repetitive behavior. He would scream and bang his head all the time. In the morning, if I wouldn't feed him, he would bang his head on the wall until I fed him. He was very sensitive to other people. He would just scream if someone looked at him or tried to speak to him, someone that he knew, like a friend of mine even. We couldn't brush his teeth or brush his hair. He had very long curly hair because we could not cut it. And life was extremely difficult. Like, it's just really hard to put into words, because it's your norm, and you just keep going. You just keep going. And I was working, a couple of days a week at this point, and my son was in childcare, and I would be like so anxious every time I picked him up to find out what he'd done that day, like who he'd bit, or because he would run into people and bang his head on their legs. So I was kind of in this constant state.
What were the feelings that you had when you picked him up and you were told that that's what he did?
Oh, yeah. I feel like what my son would do was a reflection of me and my parenting. And I felt like I must be a really bad mum if my kid is behaving like this. Even in public, and when we would take him to the supermarket, he would have a meltdown and my face would be bright red, and I would just want to go into, just step into a little portal and get out of the supermarket, safely. I've had instances where I had a newborn baby on my front, and I was, chasing my toddler, running the opposite direction down a busy street, where he would then fall on the floor and bang his head really hard on the concrete. And I would be screaming like, someone grab him, like in this frantic kind of, state. That's one day that really sticks in my mind because it was so traumatic. And a lady came running out of a shop and just picked him up and was like, I know I've got 2 little boys. Are you okay? And was saved the day. But I was so anxious to go anywhere with the 2 kids. I was constantly thinking about what other people were thinking of me. And it was not a good place. I just can't emphasize enough. And I didn't notice at the time. I had no idea what I was in, but now I can see, what was going on for me. Personally, I have been living in a state of adrenaline for so long that I've developed my own health issues, because I just was constantly in fight mode. So yeah.
So when you talk about this, it takes me back to all these situations of near-death experiencing, my son jumping in front of trains, just my ex-husband pulling him away from the tracks, and jumping off balconies, all those things. No one who hasn't had a child with autism will ever understand the constant battle zone, war zone, and near-death experiences that you go through, not just for a day, but day in and day out, and not even just in the daytime, but in the night as well. So I so feel you. It's so emotional.
Yeah.
So what were the things that you were eating, feeding? What were the lifestyle things that described your day? So what were you eating? What were you doing? How were you sleeping? Because I know that when you talk about night and day, those are the things that you've changed now. But let's just sum up. What are the things that you've seen?
So in the early days, he was eating a typical, what the health authorities would recommend as very typical healthy diet. So, you know, a cup of cow's milk, a sandwich, cheese, and some meat and vegetables scattered throughout. But really from that sort of 18-month mark onwards, he was only eating white food. So all dairy he would eat, rice, plain pasta, and that was about it, to be honest. There wasn't much nutrition going into him. And yeah, I guess, you know, it was slow. It was a very slow process for me to wake up to what healthy was. By age 2, when I actually felt that he had sensory processing issues, because we weren't able to put socks on him. You know, he no longer wanted to wear a nappy. So you can imagine all of the challenges that we would have every day just trying to dress him. So we, you know, went to see this naturopath, and she, like, thankfully advised that we should make him gluten and dairy free. So he has been free of those things for quite a while. So that was good. But yeah, I mean, if you follow what the recommendations are and you feel like you're doing the right thing, but ultimately it's not, you know, the best for these sensitive children anyway.
So what did you do? So many of the health conscious moms, like myself and all the moms that we hang around in the beginning of the phases, they do get off dairy and gluten. And what did you see? So you ran into this friend, and there was still a lot of symptoms and mood issues. And you said to this friend, I don't know what to do next. So what were the things that you tried that didn't work? And what were the symptoms that just kept hanging on until you listened to that podcast? And let's then go to that.
It would probably be easier just to say, you know, what I didn't try, because I tried everything.
Yeah.
I am somebody who will, and I'm sure my friends can attest to this, I will find a topic and just learn everything about it, research, listen to people, consume content. I'm very good at that. So yeah, autism diets, like the Nemechek, the Gaps diets, supplements from the naturopath, like fish oil, probiotics, chiropractic, kinesiology. These are all great things. Those are great things, by the way, but you know, everything that somebody said was, this is good, oh, my, you know, child has had benefits from this product, I would be like, yep, I need that product, you know. So I was buying into a solution or a quick fix. I was looking for a quick fix to fix my child's behavior. So yeah, I didn't find one. I believe I was still on that journey until such time as I came across you, because I was still giving him supplements every single day. So, yeah.
What happened next, Emma? So what symptoms were left and what happened after you listened to that podcast with me? Because you've been on this journey. It's so fascinating to witness for, how long is that now?
5 months.
Isn't that incredible? It's only 5 months. Wow.
Yeah.
So what symptoms were left and what happened next?
So I would say that he was getting progressively worse up until this point, just because he was getting much older and much bigger. So any of these meltdowns or, behaviors were becoming much more violent and much more uncontrollable. So I had instances of being, here at night with my younger son, my older son, where my son would open the door and run away down the street, and one night was banging his head so hard on the walls that I thought I needed to call an ambulance because it was going on for so long. And so that was only in November. I took a video of it so that I would remember, just to maybe torture myself at some point.
Just remember, yeah, exactly. I'm so bummed out I don't have more footage, but it wasn't a thing back then.
I think because in those moments, that I could, there's no way that you can physically stop the child from doing that, because they're so determined that they literally need to get to the point of hurting themselves too much to then stop. So because people would say, why didn't you stop him? Why didn't you just grab him? It's like, you don't understand. You can't grab him because he'd then just bite you and, and harm you. So anyway, so things were very, very bad. Just say that. When I listened to the interview, I then went, oh, that's so simple. We can go and do grounding. And I took the boys down to the beach myself. And I remember being really nervous because I thought, well, he could just run away from me. And then I have my younger son, and how am I going to catch him if he runs away? Like, these were the thoughts that were in my head. I was very nervous, thinking, I'm not sure I can do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And we did it, and it was fine. We all survived. We got back to the car, and we got home and everything was good. And then I just thought, okay, well, I've got to do it every day. So I'm going to take the boys back to the beach again today. And the next day I went. And the same thing happened. It was fine. The boys had a great time. We got back in the car. Everything was good. So really, since that day, that simple step of doing the grounding, most days, my partner Troy now takes them down to the beach so I can do my meditations in that time and have some quiet time. What else? I guess, in terms of what you offer, Ninka, in your process that you go through for this autism turnaround. I did the 3-day mindset course first, and then I moved into that 5-day challenge. And from there, I don't know if you remember, but I actually won the personal coaching in the 3-week program. Mm-hmm. And I felt at the time, like, when, because I'd shown up and I'd, participated in everything, and I was so ready to, to make changes in myself and to just go to that uncomfortable place, that when I saw my name tagged there, it was like, well, I knew that I was going to win that. You know what I mean? I just had this sense of this was the natural step for me. And I suppose the biggest thing really has just been looking at myself and what I have been willing to change and let go of to benefit the whole family. So we're at the point now where we're doing social media detox 1 week on and 1 week off, but I would never have got to this place, in the start of January before I'd gone through all of those steps, because I was so stuck in my ways, and my phone was a bit of a security blanket for me, because a bit of an outlet, but I don't feel like I need that. I don't have that attachment anymore. So going through the whole process really has just allowed me to see and to feel so much better about who I am, you know, as a woman and as a mother, and as, you know, a mother of a child with an autism diagnosis. Yeah, I honestly can't stress enough how much of a difference this has made, you know, in all of our lives. And my partner Troy actually said to me, Ninka is going to change our lives. And that was back in February. And I just look now where we are and I just think, oh my God, Ninka was right. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. It's tough stuff to get through because it just goes straight to the heart and the core for me. Can you describe your child and your family life now? So if I'm a fly on the wall and I'm looking in, you already described what it looked like before. So what is he like now? And what's the family life like now?
It's just so peaceful here. We got rid of the television and screens, so, you know, no iPad and no TV a few weeks ago now. So I suppose what we were doing before then was getting up in the morning and going, okay, what do you want to watch? Put the TV on. So then I would then go about my morning. And this has been a really big change. And I feel very strongly that other people should give this a go too, because I know that, you know, screens and the TV can be a great tool, but I feel like you pay for it later. So I was seeing in Otto a lot of scripted language and, you know, being generally just playing out scenes that he was seeing in TV. So I thought, well, if he just didn't have any screens, then he wouldn't be doing that. So we just moved the TV away. So now in the mornings we are very peaceful. We eat together and we interact with each other. And we're more of a connected family unit that has, you know, an understanding of everybody's needs. It doesn't feel like we are fighting a battle every day. So when I try to help my son get dressed, he just lets me help him get dressed. You know, it would take up to an hour of chasing a toddler around or a preschooler around, you know, 6 months ago to try and get him to put clothes on. So it really is just the small things, and it's hard to really pinpoint, you know, what thing we did that has changed our lives so much, because it's the sum total of so many small changes and small steps. I have people telling me now, pretty much whenever I see someone I haven't seen in a little while, oh, Otto's so different now. You wouldn't even think he had autism. I get that comment like a lot. Oh, you know, he seems so happy. He seems so confident. And yeah, it's very different. It's much happier. In terms of the eating, it's still a bit of a struggle, but with the limited foods he does eat, he's still getting good nutrition in, which is great. And, you know, it's something that we're constantly working on. What I've had to face myself is my own, and this came up in the 3-week mindset course, my own journey as a picky eater and having a real anxiety around food since I was small. So it's something that I need to overcome as well, I think, before I can support him to overcome his picky eating.
Yes.
So I think it's hard to know now what the next step is, because I'm just kind of waiting and, you know, seeing what's next for him. Like, what do we have to let go of now? You know, it just feels like we've dropped so many things over the past few months that has, you know, allowed us all to flourish and to live a more joyful life.
Mm. What would you say to that mom who was in a total state of panic? So that was you back, well, it's not even half a year ago. That state that so many moms can relate to, where you're panicking, you're trying everything, all diets, all supplements, all protocols, experts, anything, and it doesn't really work. What would be the main message to that old you, and at the same time all the moms that are in that similar situation?
I think that we like to complicate things as mums. If I just go back to where I was at that point, I saw my son as a problem that needed fixing. And I was looking for solutions and answers. And because I knew in my heart that his diagnosis wasn't forever, from the very beginning, and I was kind of looking at other people who had accepted that would be there forever, I thought, well, that doesn't resonate because this isn't forever for me. So I've got to go over here to what these people are doing that are reversing autism with their biomedical solutions and dig deep down that path. So if you are someone like that, then I would say just stop everything, save yourself, time and money, and just join the community, because all of the answers are very clearly laid out for us. We don't have to do anything that's extremely difficult. We just have to, follow the guidance that you provide. And I think, that when friends say to me, Emma, you're so amazing. Everything you do, for your son, he's so lucky to have you as a mum. I'm like, I'm not doing anything remarkable. All I'm doing is working on myself and showing up for myself, and doing meditations and just,
I would say though that is remarkable. That is incredibly remarkable. And I just want to honor that, because it is something that is really, really hard to do. All the things that you've faced and changed in such a short amount of time, all the things that you've allowed yourself to let go of and let in, that is remarkable. And that is why you've been chosen to do this, to go through this process and show other parents that is actually possible. So I want you to honor that.
I still feel a lot of fear around the whole process, and I think I know, when I look back at the points when my son was diagnosed, which was at he was 3.5, and I had an inkling that at that time that there was something there, but I didn't really want to label him. But on a day where he got kicked out of his preschool that he was in because they couldn't support him there, and the teacher said to me, I think if you go for the diagnosis, you'll probably receive one. So someone told me on one of my worst days that if I would go and do this, it would give me an answer. So that's what I did. And, from that moment, I believed that my son had autism. I think going through this process now, I realize that it's not autism that my son has. I think he just needs more support and, more time to detox, from some toxic events that happened. He did get lead poisoning from our bathtub. So there have been some medical challenges there, but yeah, I just feel like it's not his future to carry that label through his life. So I suppose what I'm getting at is that we are really getting ready to drop the use of that label and everything that comes with it, which is a very scary step. And I don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but I can see that that would be definitely part of our turnaround process, because that label in itself and having people out there, you know, referring to him in that way is keeping him trapped.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, I recognize that a lot. So what are the things that you if you were to talk to a mom who's in the beginning of this stage and these challenges, what would be the most effective things you've done or let go of in this process that you've seen the most results from? If someone wants to try and be inspired by you, what are the main takeaways? And you can have 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, whatever you feel like, but just to draw from your wisdom, not to copy, but to understand from your perspective what could be possible.
I think the first thing I did, being the grounding every day, outside, barefoot in nature as much as possible, that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the mum, I think that we have to be strong and well enough to face this battle of living life, you know, with children with additional needs, but also to do the turnaround process. So I'm still in it now. I'm still working on my health. So I would say focus on yourself and your own health first, rather than, you know, focusing on the child and all of their supplements and their needs, because I think it's you that said it, Ninka, is the mums go first and the child goes further. And that saying has really stuck in my mind, and I've said that to other people, would be just focus on yourself. And, you know, I know what it's like as a mum, as a busy mum. I don't have the opportunity to meditate every day. So on the days that I know that I'm not going to be able to do it, I just do my tapping, the EFT process, you know, because it's so fast. I can do it when I'm having a shower, so that way I'm still doing something for myself.
Good.
Yeah, I would, grounding and that personal development process, which is what you teach, has been really the foundation of how we got to where we are now. You know, and then there's the, you know, removing gluten and dairy, which is like a no-brainer. Everybody should do that. So yeah, those are the 2 things I'm going to say.
That's so amazing. I mean, you've done what it took me about 5 years to do. You've done in 5 months. So the processes are really speeding up, the timelines, and the new moms that are coming in now. I'm in tears every day because I'm so in awe of all of you. Amazing, amazing, amazing work. You're doing a lot of work on, so I want, you know, there's a lot of Australian moms in the community, and I want them to be able to find you and maybe connect with you. If you stay online, we never know what happens, but where can people find you if they want to learn more about you? Because you are a doula as well, and you're creating birthing communities. And I see this process of turning autism around, but also the self-development process as a mom, as one big birthing process. So I find it very, very important, the work that you're doing for young moms. So where do people find you?
So every second week I am on Instagram. My username is Emma Burke Doula, so easy to find. I live in Sydney, so I support women as a birth and a postpartum doula, you know, all over Sydney. And just locally, I'm running a home birth group. So probably also worth mentioning, you know, how I came to be a doula. was through this autism process. You know, the fact that my son wasn't doing well in childcare, I knew that I had to remove him from that childcare system. And there are certain restrictions in place in Australia where you can't send your child to childcare if you don't make certain medical decisions. So I thought, I'm just going to have to leave my job and, you know, find something that's in alignment with my passion and purpose. I gave birth to my second son at home, had a home birth, but it was just my partner and I, as my midwife, hadn't arrived yet. So, you know, this was the most empowering and crazy and emotional and big, beautiful experience that I needed to kind of propel me in the path of supporting women to go through this birthing process and this transition. So it was a very natural step into birth doula. And I also feel like being a mum of a child with autism, you are doulaing them through their meltdowns and through their emotions and, you know, through every day. So, you know, to see someone maybe struggling or in pain, it feels very fine for me to hold the space for them and nurture them and help them come out the other side, because I've done it every day for, you know, 4 years, 3 years.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah, you're going to birth some big projects in this lifetime. It's just incredible. You're an incredible person, and I'm so inspired by you. So I want to thank you for showing up here and sharing your story of hope. And I am very honored to be able to witness as things move forward, because this is only the beginning. So thank you so much, Emma. Is there anything you needed to say that we haven't covered?
I think I got it all. I just, yeah, I hope everything came across and everyone was able to receive what I was sharing today with an open heart and an open mind. And if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to dive deeper into the process, you know, that I've been through. So feel free to reach out anytime on Instagram.
Thank you so much, Emma, and thank you for showing up.
Thank you, Ninka.